Hi, and welcome to this edition of Temple Update. I'm Lisa Harper.
And I'm Chris Carl. Starting in October, students will find it more difficult to receive student loans. A provision in the Emergency Unemployment Act requires that loan recipients over the age of 21 must pass a credit check before receiving any funds. According to the Department of Education, the government is facing $3.6 billion in student loan defaults. The new act will go into effect on October 1st. The simple act of crossing a street turned tragic when a student was hit by a police car. Messiah College senior Rob Badorf was crossing Broad Street in front of the Johnson and Hardwick dormitories when the accident occurred. The police car hit Badorf, forcing his head through the windshield. Badorf was taken to Temple University Hospital, where he is being treated for 2 broken legs and a contusion to the head. The accident is still under investigation.
A Temple grad has been named as the Dean of the Graduate School of Education at Harvard. Dr. Linda Darling Hammond will become the first African-American woman to be named Dean of a Harvard grad school. She will become professor and dean-elect in September. Darling Hammond received her Ph.D. from Temple in 1976. The former mayor of Philadelphia came and spoke to students at Messiah College recently. Good came and talked to the students in a social ethics class. He gave them advice on how to make tough decisions in today's world. In an interview with Good, he stated that even though he is no longer mayor, he still plans to stay active in the Philadelphia community.
I don't intend to do anything else but to be actively involved in changing things. I will be a change agent until the day I die. I believe fundamentally in bringing about basic change in our society. And I intend to go about doing that in a way that's going to continue to make things better.
Good is working on several different projects, including teaching a course at Eastern College and writing an autobiography about his life in politics.
University of Bridgeport trustees have agreed to a deal linking their financially troubled school with a group connected with the Reverend Sun Myung Moon. The Professors World Peace Academy will assume control of the Board of Trustees. The school will retain its academic freedom. The trustees said it was the only way to keep their Connecticut school open. Child abuse was the focus of a seminar co-sponsored by Temple University. Updates Chris Ellis has the story.
Temple's Center for Social Policy and Community Development teamed up with the Philadelphia School District's pre-kindergarten Head Start program recently for a conference on positive parenting. The all-day seminar for Head Start teachers and parents included workshops on dealing with anger, understanding parents, physical and emotional abuse, and the impact of sexual abuse. Janet Schultz, health coordinator for Head Start, says that while reports of sexual abuse may be on the rise, the problem is not new.
I think sexual abuse has always happened. I think it's just finally getting the attention that it deserves. We're seeing an increased incidence of sexual abuse in our young children, sometimes due to the use of substance abuse in families, in very dysfunctional families.
The pre-kindergarten Head Start program serves over 2,000 children aged 3 to 5 at 40 sites throughout Philadelphia. Teachers in the Head Start program, like all professionals who work with children, are obligated by law to report suspected cases of child abuse. In the past, such reports often led to the disruption of the family, but lately that has been changing.
Parents often think that their children are going to be taken away from them. The trend nowadays is family preservation, where we try to work with families, keeping children intact, unless there are extraordinary circumstances.
Schultz says there are potential warning signs that a child may be abused. They may become overly active or overly withdrawn, may exhibit violent tendencies, or may engage in sexual activities inappropriate for their age. If you suspect a case of child abuse, you may contact the Department of Human Services at 686-6100. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Chris Ellis.
Officials at the Gettysburg National Military Park are ready to go to battle over a famous Civil War document. For 13 summers, the park has displayed one of the 2 remaining original handwritten copies of Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. This year, the Library of Congress is offering only a high-quality facsimile for display. Park officials say they're insulted the library doesn't trust them with an original copy. Already, U.S. Representative Bill Goodling and U.S. Senator Harris Wofford have written to the library in support of the park. And if you're looking for a unique view of the city, you can find it on top of City Hall's newly refurbished tower. Updates Misan Kim reports.
After 6 long years, the City Hall tower is finally finished. The metal and brick level of the tower have been completely restored. Visitors will be able to take a ride up to the exhibit area where they can get a brief history of the building and of William Penn. The restoration includes new state-of-the-art equipment and shiny new glass faces for each of the 4 tower clocks. The observation deck has a unique view of the city. As you go further up, visitors can step onto the outside deck, which is completely covered with glass windows. Peter Aborn, Senior Assistant Managing Director, says this restoration was a painstaking process.
Serious investigation started in about 1982, in which they actually came up and started looking into it in depth, and they did a number of exploratory studies, and leading to partial dismantling of some of them, and then repetitive testing, in order to make sure it was done correctly.
And why did the restoration take so long?
And it had to be done very carefully, because we can't come up here every 5 years or every other year to do it. And it needed new bolts and testing of all of the load-bearing capacity of everything. So it was just simply a question of doing it carefully.
Visitors of the new tower will get a glimpse into the city's past, while getting a bird's-eye view of how Philadelphia has grown over the years. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Mi-Sun Kim.
Last February, 100 Princeton students celebrated the first snowfall by holding the annual Nude Olympics. Now, police are charging the students with lewdness and disorderly conduct. 31 of the 100 sophomores who participated in the event have been arrested. If convicted, each student faces a fine of $1,500 along with 6 months in jail. College students face many fears, and as Update's Monica Trainer reports, Temple's Health Services has taken steps to alleviate some of the greatest.
Disease and pregnancy stemming from casual or unprotected sex are two of the greatest dangers college students face. Temple University has combated the fear by offering students information programs. Health Services provides sessions dealing with AIDS, sexually transmitted diseases, and contraception, all falling into the category of not just safe sex, but safer sex. Students come to these free meetings to learn about serious issues in a not-so-serious setting. Groups play various games and act out scenarios to become comfortable with often uncomfortable situations. Aside from such programs, Health Services provides newsletters, visits to classes, messages across campus, and a Dear Health Wrap section in the Temple Times. Health educator Jeff Kaplan explains that the center offers all types of information, but designs programs to the needs of today's students.
The Magic Johnson thing, we got more calls having to do with AIDS and more requests for that type of program. Sort of whatever's in, we get more calls for.
Temple's Health Services plans to hold these programs throughout the semester. If you can't make it, you can visit Health Services on the main campus. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Monica Trainer. Administrators at Lemoyne College in Syracuse, New York, say they're mulling over a student senate request to install condom machines on campus. School President Kevin O'Connell says selling condoms would go against the school's moral principles, and he's concerned about giving students permission to have sex. Student President Tracy Brooks says some students are disturbed that they aren't being protected from the AIDS virus. If the administration goes along with the plan, Lemoyne would become the first of the nation's 18 Jesuit schools to sell condoms.
With summer quickly approaching, it will soon be time to head to the shore. With that and more, here's Jerry Resnick.
Thanks, Chris. Officials in Wildwood, New Jersey have announced plans to build an extension onto the city's convention center. They hope that by enlarging the building and adding meeting rooms, they will be able to attract conventions to their shore community. Wildwood business leaders hope that the improved convention center will attract more people to the area. Since the late 1980s, tourism has dropped due to reports of water contamination. In 1987, medical waste, syringes, and debris washed onto the beach at the Jersey Shore and washed away one of the state's biggest money makers, tourism. One shore community that has shown signs of recovery is Ocean City. Here with a report is Jamie Carney.
Recovering from the summer of '87 has been a long, painful process for the Jersey Shore area. Last season was no exception. Many beaches remained virtually empty in many Jersey towns as people continued to go elsewhere for their summer vacations. While many areas continue to struggle, Ocean City, New Jersey has begun to slowly but steadily show signs of recovery. According to city officials, Ocean City's advantage over the other shore communities is the type of vacationer they attract.
Our image, our family image, is taking hold. People recognize that they can come here in a clean, safe environment.
While other shore communities attempt to attract the young college-age crowd, Ocean City is banking its future on the family. Mike Mallon has brought his family to Ocean City for the last 9 summers. He says he understands concern about the ocean, but believes the area to be safe.
'87 was not a good year. We were down here for that. But I believe that the last 2 years have done a great job of at least trying to clean up as best they could. hopefully next year I'll be down here for 2 more weeks.
While Ocean City's vacation industry has not fully recovered, last summer was their best season in 4 years. City officials believe that if the ocean remains clean, it's just a matter of time.
You go to our boardwalk, the families that are up there, the little children, the mother and the father and the grandmothers, we're getting that back. We're getting that segment of the populace back which made Ocean City great.
Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Jamie Carney.
A study by the National Research Council has concluded that there is no practical way to end dolphin deaths from tuna fishing. The council says that the new dolphin-safe method may actually increase the number of dolphins getting trapped in nets. Researchers say better training for fishermen could prevent some dolphin deaths. Chris, Lisa?
You know, I can't wait to head down that Jersey Shore, the Atlantic City, Margate area, just waiting for those summertime temperatures.
Summer's coming up soon. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Jerry.
Back to you.
Thanks, Jerry. There's much more ahead on Temple Update.
Coming up next, Tim Brucker wraps up the year in sports, and confusion reigns on the E-Team when Temple Update continues.
This man is one of tens of thousands imprisoned or tortured because of the peaceful expression of their beliefs, the color of their skin, their religion, even their sex. Since 1961, Amnesty International has worked on behalf of over 42,000 such prisoners. By putting pressure on governments worldwide, Amnesty members are giving prisoners like him not just hope, but freedom. Raise your voice. Call 1-800-55-AMNESTY.
Tim Brucker is here with Sports Tim. The Temple baseball team having trouble, but there is one bright spot to get excited over.
Indeed, as a team, it's been a largely disappointing year, but this year has been a good one for junior center fielder Bob Higginson, who continues to be one of the few bright spots for the dismal campaign for the Temple baseball team. Higginson smashed his 28th career home run in a loss to Westchester. That gives him a new school record. Higgy will use the rest of this week, which is the end of the season, to continue his bid for the Golden Spikes Award, which is annually given to the nation's top collegiate player. So far this season, the Owls cleanup man has a .397 batting average to go along with 21 extra base hits and 45 RBIs. Temple's softball team will wrap up its regular season with road sets against Lafayette and Adelphi. The Lady Owls have already improved on last year's record under first-year coach Carol Cashow. The postseason will kick off on May 8th as the Lady Owls vie for the 1992 Atlantic 10 Tournament Championship. Last Sunday, Temple's lacrosse team kept their playoff hopes alive by beating the University of New Hampshire 13-9. The 8th-ranked Owls dominated the 11th-ranked Lady Wildcats. Temple's Erin Quinn scored 5 goals, while sophomore Shira Thornton added 4 goals and 3 assists. On Monday, the Owls beat Yale 9-8 to raise the record to 10-4. The team will finish the regular season against the University of Delaware. The Temple golf team is on a roll. The golfers have swept 4 straight tournaments to set a new school record. Temple's balanced scoring has been led mostly by junior Bill Erickson, freshman Hans Winkler, and sophomore Tommy Visa. Temple has one more tune-up before the NCAA Regionals, which are being held at Colgate University on March 21st. To conclude our series on Owls in the NBA, Updates Chris Carl profiles one of Temple's tallest players and his native Philadelphia teammate, namely Dwayne Coswell and LaSalle's Lionel Simmons.
Expectations were high for the L Train, and the 7th overall pick in the '91 draft didn't disappoint. Simmons finished as a consensus vote on the NBA's All-Rookie team and was voted as the Kings' MVP. He started in all but 3 games for Sacramento and led the team in rebounding and minutes played. But the cause surprised many people around the league. The so-called project player ended up starting over half of the Kings' games and set a Sacramento record for blocked shots in a season with 148. Coswell came on strong in the later months of the season, averaging 12.4 points and 7.8 rebounds in the last 16 games of the month. Coswell says after learning the game of the East, the style of play is just a bit different out west.
West Coast, when we play out on the West Coast, we play more of a speed-up type game, more running game. When we come to East Coast, it's more a power game. You know, it's more banging and it's more contact here in the East Coast. And in the West Coast, all we do really, everyone's just running and breaking.
Playing at the Spectrum is a big moment for Simmons, who went to high school in South Philadelphia. Time is short and ticket demands high.
All over 100, and still don't have enough, but, it's just one of those things, got to take care of it. It's first chance to play in front of my family and friends, so I'm looking forward to that, and it's always exciting coming back.
When people talk about the Big Five, they obviously aren't speaking about the Sacramento starting lineup. But 40% of that lineup is a product of the Big Five, and they're proud of it.
Big Five they got a long line of tradition, and to be part of that, that's a great achievement.
I'm proud to have stayed in Philadelphia and to have started my career there, and fortunate enough to play in the Big Five.
Simmons and Caldwell left Philadelphia for the NBA as unproven collegians, but they return as Kings. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Chris Carl.
The 1992 NCAA men's gymnastics meet in Lincoln, Nebraska featured 4 Temple Owls. Seniors Dominic Minicucci, Bill Roth, and Jim Vandezilver, and junior Eben Grayman made the trip to nationals, with Minicucci advancing to the finals. The 1988 Olympian boosted his shot at the 1992 games by capturing first place on the parallel bars and earning All-American honors for the second time in his career. He also finished 6th in the all-around. One of the happiest men on Temple's campus these days is no doubt John Chaney. The Owls men's basketball coach is enjoying perhaps his most successful recruiting period in his 10 years at Temple. In the early signing period, Chaney netted top 40 players William Cunningham and Derek Battie. Rather than resting on his laurels, Chaney continued to hit the high schools, and he came up with 2 more highly rated prospects in the late period. 6-foot, 6-inch swingman William Rice and 6-foot, 7-inch forward Jason Ivey, both from Alabama, signed late. If that isn't enough to suit you Temple fans, letters of intent from 6'3" guard Darryl Flicking and 6'9" forward Marco Van Velsen give the Owls a very talented, well-balanced recruiting class. Whether it was the disappointing record of the Temple football team or the remarkable season by the women's fencing team, it's been an interesting year in sports on Temple's campus. Updates Chris Carl reports. It was a season of what could have been for Temple football. The 2-9 Owls could have won more games, but fumbled away opportunities versus Penn State, West Virginia, and Akron. The field hockey team brought home an Atlantic 10 championship and played extremely well in the NCAA tournament, losing to North Carolina in the Final 8. It was an up-and-down season for both Temple Hoops teams. The men lost in the Atlantic 10 tournament to West Virginia, but still gained a berth in the NCAA tourney, dropping a first-round game to the Fab Five of Michigan. The women's team continued to show improvement in Charlene Curtis's second season at the helm. After a slow start, the Owls played very competitive games versus Virginia and Penn State, including a big win over Rutgers at McGonigal Hall. The most successful team at Temple may surprise you, but the fencing team finished with a 17-1 record and a national foil championship. 3-time All-American Muna Bitar led the Owls to the crown, avenging the team's only loss of the year against Penn State. The men's gymnastics team just missed going to the national championships, finishing 5th in the East with the top 4 teams moving on. But seniors Dominic Minicucci, Bill Roth, Jim Vandezilver, and junior Eben Grayman will compete in individual events in Nebraska. And the women's team capped off their season finishing 4th at the NCAA Northeast Regional. The team set several new school records throughout the year, and Ken Anderson was named Atlantic 10 Coach of the Year. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Chris Carl. Indeed, an interesting year here at Temple, and the future at least looks bright for the basketball team. As I mentioned, those 6 recruits before. Also, sources say that Julian King, a guard from Georgia, is also going to join the team, meaning we'll have 7 new freshmen next year. Look forward. A great year in Temple sports, and it's really going to be interesting to see all those recruits come in. Should be fun. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Philadelphia may have another Delaware whale in their hands. Since the river bus first started to run between the Camden Aquarium and Penn's Landing, it's carried an average of 2,200 passengers a day. Due to the popularity of the ferry service, operators may bring a second river bus to Philadelphia. The new boat is in Vermont, and it could be refitted and take its place in the Delaware River in 2 weeks. Officials are hoping an extra ferry will provide more flexibility, as well as additional services like dinner and sightseeing cruises. A new film and discussion series at Temple University is addressing the question of authorship and authority in film and video. Updates Nicole Wiest explains.
The series, called New Cinema's Minority and Indigenous Media, consists of lectures and screenings of work by villagers From India, Aboriginal Australians, Native Americans, gay men and lesbians, and from community workshops. Dr. Jay Ruby, an organizer of the series, explains why there is a need for a discussion of Indigenous media.
Because the world is changing so rapidly that it used to be that only a limited number of people had access to cameras, and it was their view of the world that we were able to see. Now that more and more different kinds of people have cameras, we're going to be able to see the world from a multitude of vantage points, which hopefully will enrich us as well as give them a chance to assert themselves.
This new media is also used as a statement of political power and as an exploration of one's cultural roots and identity. One speaker, Faye Ginsburg, explains that the video in the hands of Indigenous people provides a weapon for self-defense. The series, which is taking place at Gladfelter Hall, explores such issues as who can represent someone else and what the filmmaker's intentions are. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Nicole Wiest.
Jim Young is here to continue his series on life in L.A. with a look at one of the largest flying wonders of the world. Jim?
Well, I'll tell you, Chris, this is truly an unforgettable sight. This week, we return to Long Beach Harbor to look at Howard Hughes' esteemed eighth wonder of the world. Nestled along Long Beach Harbor is the Queen Mary Spruce Goose exhibit, which houses two of the world's largest history-making giants. After passing through a makeshift London town, the triumph of one man's fight for flight is cased in the world's largest clear-span aluminum dome. Howard Hughes, famous aviator and movie director, had a plan to beat German U-boats during World War II to build the world's largest flying boat. Before seeing the plane, the history behind the Spruce Goose is explained through a 15-minute slide presentation. It tells the story of how Hughes planned to transport 750 soldiers for 7 armored assault craft or a 60-ton Sherman tank on a plane 6 times larger than any other ever built. With a budget of $18 million, a wingspan of over 300 feet, longer than a football field, a tail section over 8 stories high, and driven by 8 of the most powerful engines ever made, the Spruce Goose took its first and only famous flight of 1 minute at an altitude of 70 feet on November 2nd, 1947. Hughes then placed this plane in seclusion for a period of 35 years. But on February 14, 1982, the plane was erected and moved to Long Beach Harbor, where it has been on display ever since. I'll tell you, these are only a few of the highlights of Los Angeles. One can only get the full idea and the full esteem of Los Angeles with a trip out there.
Sounds great, Jim. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thanks. A Temple musician has been honored with a prestigious award. Temple University Orchestra conductor Louis Biava was given the G. Hartman Kuhn Award by the Philadelphia Orchestra Association. The award is given to someone who honors the orchestra. Biava also runs a student exchange program between Temple and Puerto Rico.
Well, when we last left, the E-Team questions still had to be answered. Who killed Sean and Adam? Was it a conspiracy? Does anyone really care? Confused? Well, that's okay. So are we. Anyway, here's the E-Team.
For those of you who haven't been watching the E-Team, well, shame on you. If you're wondering just what's going on, you've joined us in the middle of our story, so just sit back, relax, and everything will make sense soon enough. Oh, hi, Juliet. How you doing?
Good. How you doing? What are you up to?
Good. Nothing. I'm just, solidifying my stranglehold on the future. Just planning for next semester's E-Team.
You know, Brad, it's a real shame about Sean and Adam. It was so sudden.
Yeah, you're right. It should have been long, drawn out, and painful.
What does that mean?
Just kidding.
You know, I haven't had a chance to discuss with you the results of your investigation. What was it exactly that you uncovered?
Well, there was that tripe that we fed the media about that James Crack Corn guy and how he shot Sean and Adam with 1 bullet.
You mean it wasn't true?
Sure it was. Sure.
I know I'm your friend and everything, but a lot of people really think you had something to do with the shooting.
Are you calling me a liar? Who the hell said that I was a liar?
Well, Meredith said that you said that you...
And you believe that, pinhead?
Brad, why are you being so defensive?
Defensive? Why are you saying I'm getting defensive? Am I getting defensive? I think I'm okay.
What is going on here? What is it that you guys are hiding?
Nothing. I never touched her, I swear. Oh, I'm sorry, bad habit. Juliet?
I think I better leave now.
Welcome to Inside Affair. I'm Monica Trainer. Tonight we get an inside look at one of the most mysterious and least interesting assassination of our times. Joining us live on satellite is Juliet Edmana, author of Bloodstains at the Bell Tower, an expose into the slaying of Sean Sperry and Adam L., de facto producers of the comedy show The E-Team. Miss Edmana, you were a member of the E-Team during the tenure of Sean and Adam, were you not?
Oh, yes, I was, Monica. I was around when they were producing the show.
What happened when Sean and Adam retired in the spring of 1992?
Oh, my, it was chaos. Everybody on the E-Team immediately started fighting. Nothing was getting accomplished. It was terrible. I even broke a nail. But as soon as Sean and Adam got wind of what was going on, they returned to the show and took over. And then, as things started getting rolling, they were shot dead.
And as we all know, Sean's rival producer, Brad Minard, headed up the investigation. But you didn't buy into his findings.
That's right, Monica. I did some investigation of my own and found that Brad's story didn't hold water.
And we all know how painful that can be. So you decided to write a book about your findings.
As a matter of fact, not only is the book coming out next week, but I've just sold the rights to the book to a movie studio. They're planning to totally ignore my manuscript and make a completely speculative and fictional film that will serve to obscure the issue even further than it is now.
Golly, how do you feel about that?
Cares? Do you have any idea how much my advance was? Screw the truth. This is a market economy.
Believe me, at this show, we know just how you feel. Thank you for joining us, Miss Edmana, and we'll be seeing you at Saks Fifth Avenue. Well, that's it for this edition of Inside Affair. I'm Monica Trainer.
Don't miss our E-Team Summer Special. Will we discover who assassinated Sean and Adam? Why do I doubt it? Now back to the news.
Thanks, guys. And it's a case of Madison Avenue meets John Doe. Bud Light is a 33-year-old West Virginia resident who is tired of proving that his name is really Bud Light. If the jokes and driver's license aren't silly enough, there's more. Bud Light is the accountant for the local beer distributor, Miller. On a cruise to the Bahamas, Light met the stars of the famous Miller Lite ads, and yes, you guessed it, they too asked to see his driver's license. Even operators don't take him seriously. When a friend of Light's asked the operator for his phone number, she hung up. Life just isn't easy when TV meets reality.
Here are some interesting dates in May compiled by the people at Widener University. May 4 through 10 is National Bathroom Reading Week and National Hoagie Week. May 8th is No Socks Day. May 11th is Eat What You Want Day. And May 25th is National Tap Dance Day. I know I'll be looking forward to Eat What You Want Day.
Well, Chris, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to Graduation Day. As some of you know, this is Chris, Tim, and my last show.
And at this point, we'd just like to wish all the graduating seniors good luck and thank everybody involved with Temple Update this semester.
And that'll wrap up this edition of Temple Update. I'm Lisa Harper.
And I'm Chris Carl for Jerry Resnick, Tim Brucker, and Jim Young. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next semester.